Now, on the board, usually on a board you would have an indication of the types of suffixes. So this is not on the board, but it's just to pretend that it's on the board. You'd have the category of suffix here, which looks like a little box, which is the card. And then you would have the stress, the IPA stress mark, one syllable before that suffix. Stress, one syllable before the suffix. Then you'd have the other category of suffixes. Again, the box is the card or the suffix, and then the stress would be 2 syllables before the suffix. And then the last category is stress on the suffix itself. I call it category 3. That's category 1 because it's 1 syllable before, category 2 because it's 2 syllables before, category 3 because it's on the suffix itself. Some students suggested we call it category 0, which is also a good option, but I've got used to the third category 3 name. So they pick up a card, for example, itty, and they've got to figure out whether, for most words that they can come up with, most words, then the stress is going to be where the stress is going to be. So for example, identity. That one is a bit tricky because it has 2 syllables within the block, and it's hard for the students to understand that. So titty, the consonant that belongs to that syllable, the onset consonant, is going to be placed or materialized with a little cap, for example, or something that you have, so that the students know that this belongs to the suffix, the syllable within the suffix, and it is kind of creating a link between the other syllables, because sometimes they get the number of syllables wrong. So unstressed syllable would be with one finger pointing on the card, and then den would be a flap hand, titty, identity. If you have more syllables like similarity, you can ask them, double check, you never know, maybe that's an exception. So, for example, similarity. Okay. If they're not sure, they can use the Cambridge Dictionary and listen, and also they can see the IPA transcription and double check. If they know about the secondary stress, they can place the syllable carrying the secondary stress slightly below the line of the word to kind of materialize the kind of stress mark of the for secondary stress, which is usually placed at the bottom here. Similarity. So that's how you'd play. So if it's just leave your hand here and count backwards, count the number of syllables, starting from the suffix, starting from the block, and if it's 1 syllable before, then place it where you have your zone of 1 syllable before suffixes, before the suffix. Okay, then you can keep going. I'm going to go faster, but inertia, insomnia, canonical, organize, that's organize, organize. So how many syllables before? You count 1, 2, that's category 2. Going to find another one. Ease, that could be, let's find Portuguese, Japanese. So Portuguese, Japanese. So a lot of them will say Japanese, Japanese. So they'll kind of use the secondary stress. And they would put this card here. So I would go around and check what they're doing. And gradually I would remove some of the cards that are incorrect and tell them, try and correct that. Try and find more words. Try and double check, because this is not the right category of suffix. And then they would double check. I would do it with them, and then they would put it on at the right place. So usually you'd need two 1-hour sessions for them to do the entire set of cards. Usually in 1 hour, they usually do everything. the whole set of cards. But then a second session, they're a bit faster and I can start doing the exam questions with them. So that's just one step towards the exam. Hope that was useful.